What about now? Is it better? Um, okay, so today I want to do a Bible study on Exodus. I'm live on YouTube, guys, on TikTok, just to let you know. I want to do a Bible study on Exodus 2 23, chapter 2, verse 23. And I'm going to read it to you shortly. Okay, I've got my Bible here. I'm using the New Living Translation NLT version. And this is after Moses was born and he's all grown up now. And I just want to read this passage. I don't know why it just really stood out to me while I was doing my Bible study today. Okay, so it goes Exodus 2. It goes, years passed. So at this time, let me just give you a bit of context. At this time, Joseph have passed away. And if you followed my Joseph story on YouTube, then you know that Joseph was sold by his family and he was in Egypt. He ended up being the one who is like the ruler of Egypt under Pharaoh. And obviously, a lot of Egyptians have multiplied and, kind of filled up that country. But then Joseph passed away, and then a new ruler started to rule Egypt and didn't know anything about Joseph. So he hated that the Israelites were dominating in Egypt and he wanted to get rid of them. So, anyways, Moses didn't like that. He didn't like how the Israelites were being treated. But the Israelites cried a lot. And now on 23, it says, years passed and the king of Egypt died, but the Israelites continued to groan under their burden of slavery. They cried out for help, and their cry rose up to God. God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He looked down on the people of Israel, and he knew it was time. All right, so God heard the cry. I wrote some notes here when I was doing my studying earlier. God heard the cry. So whatever you are going through right now, keep crying to God. Keep going to God. Don't cry to people who will tell other people and make fun of it, or people who are happy to see your downfall. But keep crying to God, because God will hear your cry. God will remember the covenant that he made with Abraham. And, Abraham is basically like part of our father, because we are the children that Abraham was said to have that are going to fill up like this, like the stars in the sky. So he made a promise that he will be with us. God heard the cry, God remembered the promise, God saw, and God knew that it was time. There's also just that time that you have to wait for. It's not going to be your time, it's not going to be anyone else's time, it's going to be God's time. But if you keep crying to God, he will hear, he will remember, he will see you, and he will use the right time to answer you. So just don't forget that. Like, God heard, God remembered, God saw, and God knew that it was time. But what we do is we rely on other people over God. We cry to our friends, we cry to our parents, even we cry to our boss, social media, whatever, but we don't cry to God. Why? Why don't you cry to God? God had, you know, created like a covenant, a promise with Abraham, and he will not forget it. But you have to cry to him. You have to acknowledge that he is your father. Can you imagine having a father who doesn't care, you know, about how what you're going through and how you feel? He's your father. He loves you and he wants you to cry to him, and he will hear you. And when he hears you, he will see you and he will know when it's the right time to act. So that's what it says here. Um, and like if you carry on, so if I carry on just a little bit on chapter 3, where it says, one day Moses was tending the flock of his father in law. The priest of Midian had led the flock far into the wilderness and came to the mountain of God. There, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a blazing fire. I know you've heard of that before, like where there was a blazing fire and the angel appeared to Moses from the middle of the bush. Moses stared in amazement, like, there's just a bush, like a burning bush. What's going on? Though the bush was engulfed in flames, it didn't burn up. This is amazing, Moses said to himself. Why isn't that bush burning up? I must go and see it. Now look at this one. In 4, it says, when the Lord saw Moses coming to take a look closer, God called him from the middle of the bush, Moses, Moses. Okay, let me stop there. So sometimes there are signs that God is sending you. All Moses had to do was look closely, be I guess, inquisitive or curious enough to get up and see what is going on. And that's when God saw Moses. So there are signs, there are things that God is sending to you, but some of us are not intuitive or we're not in tune with our faith and our spiritual guide, that we just ignore it. Um, and what you're doing is you're probably missing the sign that God wants you to see, God wants you to get up and focus on. So just be careful of that as well. Because here, if Moses didn't say, oh, let me get up and go see what's going on in this bush, then maybe the Lord was not going to call him. I don't know. But it took him getting up, focusing. So sometimes you just need to get up and focus on what is it that God is trying to teach me here? What is God trying to tell me here? And that's when God will be like, oh, wow, this person of mine, this good and faithful person of mine, is actually faithful enough and alert and in tuned that I can trust them with what I'm about to bless them with now. They're not focused on earthly things and they cannot even see a simple angel when they're standing in front of them. So, to someone else, all they could have seen is just a burning bush. But to someone who's in tuned and is focused in God and who, meditates in the word of God, will see that this is a sign that God is sending to me. So, like, that's another reminder. Um, and obviously, as you carry on, God is like, don't come closer, take off your sandals because you're standing on holy ground now. And it carries on. It carries on. And what I love the most about the ending of that chapter is when God tells, Moses, let's go and help the Israelites, get them out of Egypt. And Moses says, but like, who am I that I'm going to just say, hey, give me God's people, they're getting out of here. Who am I going to say that sent me? And God says, tell them I am sent you. I am who I am. How hectic is that? So you know how now there's like affirmations, you must do affirmations and write I am before. This comes from the Bible, the I am. When you write I am, you are putting God's name before the statement of whatever statement it is. So when you say, I am broke, that is what you are basically speaking over your life because you are like you're bringing God into it. You are, God is I am. So be careful what you say after you say I am. Your words are very powerful. And when, God made us, He made us in His image. He made us in His image so that we can be able to be fruitful and multiply. When He created the first two people in this world, He didn't put them in like a factory or some building. He put them in a garden because in a garden, that's where fruits and vegetables are grown. And what you'll find is that these fruits, for example, an apple, it's delicious. You eat an apple. But the most important thing is not what you just ate. The most important thing is what's in the apple. So the seeds that you use to grow more apples to multiply. So when God made us in His image and He spoke and said to darkness, let there be light, it's because He wanted us to do the same. But now when God says to Moses, tell them, my name is I am. He is telling us that when you say I am, you introduce me, you bring me into whatever it is that you are mentioning, that you are talking about. So when you say I am stupid, I am broke, I am miserable, I am whatever, that is what you're bringing into your life. And you have to be careful because we are living in a spiritual world. And the sooner you see that, the sooner you save yourself. You save yourself from these bad spirits because you're going to start speaking only the good stuff, the good spirit. I am blessed. I am prosperous. I am abundant. I am financially free. I'm debt free. I am happy. I am healthy. I am fit. I am loved. You have to speak with authority that God has given us. So be careful with I am. You are made in an image of the one who made the world. How amazing is that? Like, that is amazing. And the sooner you know that, the sooner you realize how much blessings you can actually receive. But if you trust your boss over God, then you will just get what your boss can give you, that income, whatever that income is. But if you want more, then why not go for more? Why not speak more? Because you are made by someone who created everything. Everything. And you know what's the craziest thing is that my battery's about to die, so I'm about to go. But the craziest thing is God made us and put us into a garden. And when He put the two people into a garden and He said, you can have everything in this garden, just not from this one tree. The enemy came and made us focus on what we cannot have. So now, the first sin ever was the sin of lack. You always thinking you are lacking. That's what the enemy did. The enemy came to Eve and said, why can't you have from this fruit over here? This tree, sorry. Bite that fruit. So you can have all the other fruits, all the other trees, just this one. But the focus is on what you don't have. And that's what we do. That's what we do. You have so much to be thankful for. The fact that you are online watching this shows that you already are blessed. You have a phone, you have data, internet, you have eyes, you have ears, you are alive. You have so much to be thankful for. And there's so much more that I don't even know you, but I can name a few as well. But because the first sin, the enemy made us focus on what we don't have, on what we lack in, on what someone else has, that's what we do. We just focus on what we don't have. And then you consistently focusing on that. And then your I am becomes that. You are just speaking everything you lack. You never have enough and you're never happy. So you're always going to be miserable. You're always going to be complaining because you're focusing on what you don't have rather than what you have. But if you want to have something, remember you are made in God's image. And God, the first words God said to the two people he made, Adam and Eve, is be fruitful and multiply. So you are a seed placed in a garden to do what? To be fruitful, so to produce and to multiply. Start producing, start multiplying, stop focusing on lack, stop complaining, stop comparing yourself. You are enough. You are made in God's image. Goodness me, you are enough. Your goal is to be fruitful. Your goal is to multiply. The minute you realize that, the minute you remind yourself that, I'm reading Exodus, you can go back and read Genesis and see for yourself that your reason for being here was to produce, was to be fruitful, was to be multiplying. Are you guys enjoying that Bible study? I was literally looking at my phone. Yeah, but your goal is to be fruitful, is to multiply. And if you are not happy with your current life, then you need to change what you say after I am. Your I am shouldn't be on what you don't have. Your I am should be on what you have. Okay. 20 minutes into a Bible study, I think that should be enough.